We're excited you're back with us again.
I'm back, bitches.
You feeling pretty good?
I'm feeling pretty good. 80%. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. That's all you need.
That's what you get when you take a quick trip down to Bora Bora. You know, you're tired when you jet lag when you fly back.
That's it. That's where I got this spray tan at. Yeah, you see it? Yeah. I'm ready.
And Taisha Best is with us tonight.
Yeah, back and happy.
And like one of my favorite DJs is with us, like, and a friend of mine, CJ, Citizen Jane, bitches.
Wait, who?
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 Who? 10 seconds. Let's do this.
It's gonna be fun. We're gonna start with Dr. Kennedy. Well, welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday, March 17th, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight. The world's first live daily queer evening news show. Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it.
This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBT community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. So tonight, let's welcome anchor Faye. What? You're back.
I'm back, bitches.
Yeah, you're back. She's out, she's proud, and she's most certainly, what do I always say? Loud. She's a Latina to be reckoned with, half Puerto Rican, half Colombian, and 100% freaking Jersey. How many halves are there in this definition of you? She's a radio personality and has the popular blog and YouTube channel called Faye What? Aiming to unite the L and the G together, she's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events and a board member at Unity Coalition, as well as host of their new television show, UCTV. An animal advocate and owner of Faye's Fur Family, and is the anchor of the new Happening Out travel news show. So good evening, Faye.
Hi, everyone. Listen, a little bit of cancer was not going to hold this bitch down. You guys know it, all right? 2 weeks past my cancer operation, and I'm here and stronger than ever. I have to say thank you to It's Happening Out, to just all the shows on this network that were so loving and sent me so much support, and all of our listeners and viewers that sent messages. I love you guys. I'm back, baby. 80% here, 20% to go, but I was never that much to begin with, so we're good. We're already in the positive side already. Thank you so much for all the love. I totally felt all of it. Thank you.
I can't tell. Am I smiling or not smiling?
You're smiling. You're happy I'm back, white privilege.
Okay. Next, let's welcome anchor Taisha Best. They are a queer, Latinx, polyamorous femme presenting genderqueer switch, whose transformative healing is completely connected to their leather and work career. They just recently moved back to Florida to continue their career as an aeronautical sustenance engineer, and they avidly speak and write about sex, culture, politics, their fight for racial justice, gender inclusivity, and accessibility, and loves working on policy and program development. They also serve as our queer community builder, host on Happening Out Television Network's discussion and debate show, Gay Town Hall, alive every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Good evening, Taisha.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome aboard. I'm glad to be living back in Florida. I actually live in Orlando now. That's what flight attendants do. We hop around. It looks like I'm going to be there a little permanently because Disney World, so.
Great. Well, we're happy to have you with us tonight. Tonight, we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Wednesday, March 17. And by the way, happy St. Patrick's Day. We begin by queering up breaking Q news. Fort Lauderdale's out mayor will honor an anti-LGBTQ hate group because it's time to let go. Advocates and members of the LGBTQ community in Fort Lauderdale are pleading with the city's first out mayor to not sign a proclamation being presented by the Fort Lauderdale City Commission that would honor an anti-LGBTQ church, a megachurch here in South Florida. A church and school created by Dr. D. James Kennedy, whose organization of ministries is designated as an anti-LGBTQ hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC, are set to receive a day of commemoration on March 21st if the proclamation stands. Kennedy became one of the most watched televangelists in the 1980s and 90s, and also one of the most prominent marriage equality opponents in the 2000s. He penned the book, What's Wrong with Same-Sex Marriage?
In 2004, in opposition to marriage equality, proclaiming to, quote, use scripture to show what God says about homosexuality and marriage, end quote, but also claiming he was, quote, maintaining a loving attitude toward homosexuals as human beings, end quote. He endorsed the comic book, Homosexuality, Legitimate, Alternate Death Style that admonished the LGBTQ movement in the 1980s. One part of the book claims, quote, we're all gonna die because of those homos, end quote, in introducing the topic of AIDS. The SPLC also notes one instance where Dr. Kennedy published a newsletter with the headline, quote, sex with children? Homosexuals say yes, end quote, next to photos of children. Kennedy resided in Fort Lauderdale at the time of his death in 2007.
He created the Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church in 1960, the school's Westminster Academy in 1971, and Knox Theological Seminary in 1989. Since his death, his ministries tried and failed to sue the SPLC for designating them as a hate group. Our federal judge dismissed that lawsuit in 2019. Coral Ridge allegedly performed conversion therapy on gay people, including the late Justin Flippin, the former mayor of nearby Wilton Manors, Florida. A proclamation presented by Commissioner Heather Moriartis seeks to honor the 50th anniversary of the Academy and the 60th of the church, making March 21st, quote, Coral Ridge Presbyterian Church Day and Westminster Academy Day, end quote, across Fort Lauderdale. Moriartis is the Director of Development at Westminster Academy. Mayor Trentellis said, quote, I have reached out to many segments of my community, including those that are faith-based. Times have changed, and so have their leaders, and every one of them has been eager to bring our communities together. It's time to build our future based on love and not hate, and it's time for those who still harbor resentment to let go of it. I know I have, end quote.
Truth Wins Out Executive Director Wayne Beason said, quote, praising Coral Ridge with a proclamation is the equivalent of honoring the Proud Boys or the KKK. It shocks the mind and offends the senses, end quote. He has suggested offering to make a deal before requesting an apology from the church before the proclamation is signed would be wrong, saying, quote, to celebrate Coral Ridge prior to a heartfelt apology is to participate in gross historical revisionism. It is to erect a facade to whitewash their record, end quote. The proclamation was signed by Fort Lauderdale Mayor Dean Trentellis last night. March 21, the gayest place on planet Earth will celebrate Coral Ridge. At Queer News Tonight, we will watch the next steps in this long and terrible history of Coral Ridge in South Florida. Perhaps everyone can finally find a way to heal.
You know, I was really torn with this story. I'm a huge fan of Mayor Trentellis. We all are, right? So in my mind, it's like I have to follow him and say, I support the let go, let God part of it. But then the other part is like these people, I mean, they were behind conversion therapy. I mean, this blows my mind that the proclamation actually was signed, sealed, and delivered. But I really do feel that in my heart of hearts, Mayor Trentellis had everybody in his thoughts when backing this, honestly.
I definitely feel like once you're sitting in a seat of power, you have the power to create diversity and equity and equality. And for him to choose an anti-LGBTQ church out of all the churches that are available who are supportive and are allies to us is kind of a slap in the face, and it pretty much rewards bad behavior to those in Coral Ridge, especially since they have not proven that they have changed and also admitted guilt and apologized.
This issue is so important in the LGBTQ community, and the reason is because it's probably the wedge crux issue in our community, certainly for the next 2 years in midterm elections, and probably for the presidential election. There are two trains speeding at each other now. One is religious freedom, and one is the Equality Act in terms of supporting civil rights in the LGBTQ community. We did a segment last night with the church leader from Kennesaw, Georgia, the church has been thrown out, Town Place, from the Southern Baptist Convention because they welcomed a gay couple and their adopted children. It is the issue. I understand Mayor Trantellis's argument and observation also, but we must find some way for acceptance and apology of the past, and acceptance and us to try to find common ground. One last thought. It was December of 2019, and I did a Christmas show with the mayor of Wilton Manors, Justin Flippin. And in that interview, he had appeared on our shows many times, he told the story of his conversion therapy. A mayor of a city that went through gay conversion therapy. Where did he go through it at? Coral Ridge. And he talked about how horrible the experience was and the years of pain that he went through over going through it. Coral Ridge can be celebrated, but they have an obligation to apologize to the former mayor who 1 month later after that interview suddenly dies. They have an obligation to him and the entire LGBTQ community in South Florida to step up and try to find some common ground with all of us.
Next, we queer up entertainment. It's confirmed there are monsters in P-Town, like we didn't know already.
Right.
We repeat, terrifying. We always knew there could be monsters in Provincetown, and in the best possible way. But Ryan Murphy has shared a picture of the villains from the new season of American Horror Story. The photos show two gnarly-looking creatures stomping down a dark, empty street in P-Town. Sarah Paulson hinted that aliens and Area 51 may be involved in the storyline as well. AHS, gays, Provincetown, monsters? It looks like it's going to be an epic 10th season. And perhaps just an average Saturday night in P-Town, really.
I'm excited about it. I have enjoyed American Horror Story for quite some time. My favorite is still going to be The Coven. That was mind-blowing. So maybe this will rank up there after I watch it at one of my favorite seasons of American Horror Story.
You know, as I look at that picture and we talk about the monsters that are roaming Provincetown, I don't know why. Is that John Waters' shadow that I'm
I can't wait for this. This is going to be an epic 10th season. I can't wait to see the cameos. And I was so happy that this picture got leaked because it just is going to be a really great season of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
Next, we continue queering up entertainment. Elliot Page, first trans man to get Time cover. Elliot Page just gave a heartfelt, joyous interview with Time magazine about his lifelong journey toward coming out and living as his authentic self and expressing support for trans children to receive the affirmation and care they need. Naturally, trans, exclusionary, radical feminists, or TERFs, are furious, tearing him down while raging about the, quote, mutilation, end quote, of young girls caught up in the, quote, trans culture, end quote. The interview is historic as it lands Page on the cover of Time.
Well, we constantly talk about it, Queer News Tonight. Representation matters. You can't represent any bigger than on the cover of Time magazine. So congratulations to this. And it is fantastic for the LGBTQ community. We're constantly saying, is the L and the G and the B and the Q going to stand up for T? Well, Time magazine just helped us do that.
If you see any of the interviews that Page did before his transition, they weren't so happy, joyous, and free, right? And that one of the main things about this particular interview was that he was happy, he was free, he was energetic. That was what the interviewee was saying about the interview. And the fact that it's cover of Time magazine, how incredible. And he had like a little Eminem kind of swag, right? Did you see that picture? I love it, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, I definitely feel representation matters. There will be young trans kids in high school, middle school who will see a magazine cover and see themselves in that cover.
Absolutely.
And that makes all the difference in terms of providing affirmation and solidarity and unity, especially among the trans community.
Absolutely. Well, let's continue by queering up Stonewall Pride. DC and Marvel Comics to celebrate Pride Month with LGBTQ anthologies. This is an amazing story. The two largest comic book publishers in America are going to publish a pair of anthologies celebrating queer characters and talent all through June's Pride Month. Hitting stores on June 8th, DC Pride will include the Out Crime Fighters, Making LGBT, Batwoman, Aqualad, Midnighter, and Apollo, Harley Quinn, and John Constantine in stories crafted by LGBTQ and ally creators. The 80-page book will also offer full-page pinups and profiles of LGBTQ characters from DC's television shows like The Green Arrow and The Flash. It will also include the first comic book ever appearance of the trans superhero Dreamer. DC will also release 2 LGBT-focused books on poison ivy. In other news related to this, Marvel Comics will release its own LGBTQ special in June called Marvel's Voices of Pride. June is going to be an amazing LGBTQ celebration in the comics.
I can't wait for this. I can't wait. Just like we were talking about in our last story, like to be able to open up a comic book and see yourself, see representation. I personally always thought that I should be a superhero. Maybe I am a superhero. I'm not sure. But I want to sleep with Batwoman. That was another thing that I got out from this story. I just want everybody to know that I got dibs. She's mine. Don't even look.
Is it because of the whip? Like, now I'm very curious as someone who dabbles in that area. Catwoman is she's a deviant, and I would sign up for that too.
Yeah. Wait, I have no idea what either one of you are talking about because it's all about Superman. The rumors are Superman is going to have a relationship, an LGBT, or a gay relationship in the June Pride Month. How fantastic. Wait, let's pause. How fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, next week we're at trans rights. 73% of people support trans kids in sports, new poll finds. In headlines and state houses, young transgender athletes appear to be a hot button issue. But a new poll released today suggests that the nation is far less divided than state politicians or the GOP. Hart Research Associates and LGBTQ plus organization, the Human Rights Campaign, or HRC, released a new report that finds that 73% of people believe that trans kids should be allowed to play on the team on which they feel comfortable, including 56% of Republicans. The poll also found that 70% of the country supports the Equality Act, the Watershed Non-Discrimination Protections Bill for LGBTQ plus people that is heading to the Senate Judiciary Committee. Researchers said Wednesday's poll found that while many initially did express hesitancy about transgender participation in sports, more information quickly shifted their reaction. Opinion research suggests that there has been 30% increase in American support of trans community in the last 4 years.
You know, there's several amazing notes of this new study. First off, the reason why we've been talking for the last 2 years of white, uneducated males following Donald Trump, this is the reason why. The more education someone has, the better conclusion that they come in acceptance of everyone. And that's what this study proves. Once they're educated because they didn't know about trans issues and why it would be okay for students to participate that were trans in sports, there is a dramatic change in attitude. That is education. Second, to all of my friends that work in trans civil rights issues, you can take a big, deep breath of fresh air from this. 70% of America is already with you. 70%. It's a wedge issue with a minority. So the Senator Hollings and the Senator Grahams and the like are the ones that are driving this as a wedge issue. We learned in this last presidential election cycle that it might be moderately successful, but it will not push them over the finish line. So you can be very enthusiastic about this study result for the 2022 midterms and especially the 24 election cycle.
I got to piggyback on what you were saying now. It's all about education, education, education. And it's up to all of us, not just the T in LGBTQIA to educate. It's up to all of us. I read a crazy study the other day that said it was something along the lines of 18% of all Americans, there's only 18% of them have ever been exposed to the trans community, as in ever seeing one or ever talking to someone. So everyone under the LGBTQIA umbrella, it's up to us to educate the world. It's up to us to continue that conversation, or to better get that conversation even started, to change the minds and shift those so important minds. I mean, it's critical, it's crucial right now, it really is.
Yeah, I definitely feel that bigotry, of which, transphobia falls under that, is fear-based, and education is one of the best ways to eradicate fear. And with fear comes anger, and with anger comes retaliation and injustice. So, and I'm very happy myself being part of the non-binary under the trans umbrella, that 70% is already, in allyship with me. And others who are just wanting to feel comfortable at school and celebrate their favorite sports and perhaps participate in them.
So next, we queer up South Florida. Equality Florida and allies call for an end to attacks on trans kids. Equality Florida, Florida's largest LGBTQ civil rights organization, has called for a statewide state legislation message campaign against trans sports ban bill HB 1475 and SB 2012. Equality Florida sounds the alarm in Florida that the bill is part of a coordinated national attack on transgender youth in more than 20 states, and it targets kids who are the most bullied and marginalized in our school systems. Trans kids need love and support, not coordinated far-right political attacks on their identity. Go to equalityflorida.org right now, or their social media platforms, to participate in the campaign.
Right. I definitely feel, as a citizen of this country, you have every right to contact the people that you elected and give your opinion, because they're representing you. They're not representing themselves, or supposed to be. And, I definitely feel like this campaign, again, that would cause a lot of hurt and harm towards the trans community. We need that 70%, right? We need that 70% to step up and move further than just saying, yes, we accept. We need them to pick up the phones and say, yes, we accept, and we think that you're making the wrong decision.
I just remind you the results of the survey studies that the Trevor Project continually holds up in front of us. Trans kids in America are, because of bullying, twice as likely to commit suicide as their counterparts in schools. That's the reason why we need to support Equality Florida in the opposition to these two bills.
Kids need love right now. They need support. They need to know that they are who they are no matter what. They don't need this crazy political attacks. Go to equalityflorida.org right now. Talk to your legislature. Talk to whoever you have to talk to. Get the word out. This is so important.
Yeah. Well, next, Queer News Tonight focuses on LGBTQ national newsmakers. What happens when a major national beer brand reaches out to a world-class lesbian?
Lesbian!
To sell the idea of that fighting spirit in pandemic. Well, that is exactly what Modelo did with South Florida's own DJ Citizen Jane. They launched the campaign this week, and there are several interesting reflections for our LGBTQ community. First off, Modelo is spending more than $5 million in national advertising that begins this week. Watch this.
She never would have left her career as a detective to pursue it. If she let starting at the bottom scare her, she never would have hustled to play bigger and bigger shows. And if she was content with being one of the best Latina artists in Miami, she wouldn't be electrifying the crowd in sold-out shows around the world. That's the fighting spirit. That's what makes a lion. Modelo, root for those with a fighting spirit.
Woohoo! I'm so excited about this commercial, I'm sorry. LGBTQ America already knows DJ Citizen Jane. She gets all the lesbians crazy. Citizen Jane is a frequent host at Happening Out Television Network and the founder of Hialeah Pride. Happening Out Television Network has done many stories about Hialeah being one of the most conservative cities in America, and how Hialeah Pride faced an uphill battle to organize in this fiercely Cuban-American community, all led by a lesbian.
So when Modelo embraces DJ Citizen Jane in this national commercial, At Queer News Tonight, we knew this was a big deal. DJ Citizen Jane is with us tonight, fresh from the launch of this new national campaign that shines so much light on South Florida, the LGBTQ community, and especially Hialeah Pride and the Latin and Cuban American community.
Hialeah Pride is going to be on October 10th, 2021. And how can any announcement of the return of prides in America be any better than with a national television commercial featuring DJ Citizen Jane, and this one from Modelo. So we welcome tonight to Queer News Tonight, DJ Citizen Jane. Good evening, Jane. We're excited to have you here.
Good evening. Happy to be back.
You must be floating on air in terms of the representation of your participation, and especially the messaging over the last year that you could have given up. The whole big point message is to fight. You must be just so excited to be associated with that message.
I'm super excited, especially this came during quarantine where the music industry had stopped, the festivals had stopped, and we were all like, what are we going to do next? And I was trying to reinvent myself, and then I got a phone call from Modelo and offering me to do a story on, a commercial based on, how I started all the way from the bottom to where I'm at now, and I was super ecstatic about it.
It's funny. I was driving to the evening news show tonight, and I had mentioned to a friend of mine that I was going to talk to you tonight on the show and about the commercial. And I was halfway here through that nightmare called I-95, and I got a call, and I answered the call, and he goes, "Wait, is the person that you told me about Citizen Jane?" And I said, "Yes." "Oh my God, I just saw the commercial. That's so exciting. That's so exciting." And I thought from his seat, this is really a big deal for the community. First off, you don't intuitively know it is a lesbian focused in the community. You don't know the Hialeah story. You can see the colorful flags behind you. But how do you think the Hialeah community, we've talked about this so many times with you, being one of the most conservative cities in the country, principal Cuban American city in the United States. How do you think the Hialeah community is going to respond to this?
I think it's great. I mean, I'm super proud. I'm originally from Hialeah. I was born in Miami Beach, but I lived in Hialeah almost all of my years until I was 20 years old and left. And super proud to be representing not only Hialeah, but representing the whole LGBT community. I mean, this is huge for me that, they chose me to do this commercial. And like I always say, I hold myself very proud. I'm very open in everything that I do.
It's huge. No, but it's huge. And I was putting out a bulletin. Okay, this is how I heard it. My wife heard the commercial in the other room, and she goes, "It's CJ! It's CJ!" And I'm like, "Oh my God, what happened? She died? Well, she get COVID? It's on the news? What's going on?" "No, it's Modelo." And so then we started telling all our lesbians, no more Bud Light, only Modelo. Citizen Jane just did that commercial. That's it.
I love it. Love all the support. It is. I had to change my writer. I used to have another beer on my writer, and now it's Modelo. So it's only Modelo.
And it should be. And I want to hold it up one more time in terms of Modelo. We thank you very much for what you've done. Jane, I want to zero in on the significance of this moment, bringing it back to the LGBTQ community. You're the founder of Hialeah Pride. You climbed the exact point of Modelo's story of the year in pandemic and what's happened in the music industry and fight is exactly the story from my seat of what Hialeah Pride is all about. You sit in a very conservative community and say, we're going to have a pride event in Hialeah and fight for years of that as the founder of that. How does it wash over you that I can very confidently say you are probably the only founder of a national pride event that is appearing in a national television commercial, and no one's ever done that before, and Hialeah Pride gets to it first. How does that wash over you that you're making some history here?
It feels great. I mean, I'm all about making history. I can't take credit for this for myself. Co-founder Karen Larrea also was part of Hialeah Pride, is part of Hialeah Pride as a co-founder. We did this as a team, but it feels great to have been chosen to be part of this commercial. And, it's been so hard, as we've spoken before, Al, it's been a struggle because we are the first two females doing a pride here in South Florida. And, we were met with a little bit of resistance at the beginning, but with the rest of the community, sadly, but we have pulled through and we've proven ourselves and we've shown that we can do it just as well. And representing for all the lesbians out there that women could do it too.
Yeah, and I want to zero in on that. We not only check the box of Hialeah being a conservative community, Cuban American community. We know how large segments of the community went in terms of the presidential election, for example. But not only the conservative nature of the Cuban American community in Hialeah, but it's the girls that are running a pride event. How is that washing over you? There's a lot of boxes that check that Modelo is really saluting in terms of this national campaign.
Absolutely. I've always said that if you tell a girl no, she can't do something, she's going to come back and do it stronger. So, I mean, everyone that has said no, you can't do it, or anybody that I've met with resistance, I'm coming back harder and stronger, and I'm a person that doesn't stop, and I'm a hustler, and I'll do whatever I have to do to get across what I have to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's zero right in on that again. October 10th, you're returning, Hialeah Pride. Any details that you want to talk about at this time?
Nothing yet, but we are going to come back bigger and stronger because everybody's ready to come out after this whole pandemic and have some fun and celebrate. I mean, the LGBT community had to put their stops on all the prides last year, and this year we plan on reopening, and obviously with safe conditions and everything in place, but we're going to have a big party, and it's coming out weekend, so it's going to be even bigger.
Well, we vocally cheer DJ Citizen Jane here in terms of the launch of the commercial. I would just suggest, I'm going to be there for sure, Jane. I'll tell you right now, I'm for sure going to be there October 10th. Hialeah Pride should open with this commercial. I'm sure Modelo will say, yeah, we would like to be involved too. But you should open with this commercial, and then it be a real celebration, because it's a return to prides, which our community is desperately looking forward to this fall. Hialeah will be out there. It's in this very conservative community that is moving forward. They're embracing the LGBTQ community more and more and more, thanks to events like Hialeah Pride and people like DJ Citizen Jane. And we're going to celebrate because it's a major pride event that is led, founded, and organized by the girls. So it's going to be a massive celebration.
Can't wait.
It
is going to be a double celebration. I mean, it hasn't really hit me. Everybody keeps calling me about the whole commercial, and I'm getting messages from everyone, but you know, it's starting to hit me now, so super excited.
Jane, I'm telling you, it was at Queer News Tonight. This was a big deal, and congratulations to you.
You should be running through Hialeah with pasties on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Well, no, wait. I wouldn't go that far. But maybe
I'll do it if you join me, Faye.
All right.
Okay. DJ Citizen Jane, we've shown you the commercial, but listen for it. You're going to see it everywhere. $5 million being spent on this campaign. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, Faye. Thank you, Alan.
And the Hialeah community, and the South Florida LGBTQ community, and the girls.
The girls!
Congratulations to all of you. And thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you for helping out. Thank you.
All right. Well, that is our queer headlines for today. Let's catch up on the LGBTQ news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies. Queer News Tonight has been LGBTQ America's most important news source on the pandemic, as we have reported on coronavirus on every news broadcast since January 6, 2020. Tonight, we continue to report on the devastating effect that coronavirus has had on the American and worldwide LGBTQ community in total number of cases and deaths. We also provide hope of a new light at the end of this long tunnel. As of tonight, we report that more than 2,116,000 LGBTQ Americans have contracted COVID-19, with more than 38,465 LGBTQ Americans have died of coronavirus. As of today, a light at the end of the tunnel, however, as more than 142,918,000 vaccine doses have been administered in the United States.
That is our COVID-19 news for tonight. Next, we report that Happening Out Television Network is passionate about our support for the LGBTQ community. An example is Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine in supporting that partnership. The network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the world, with more than 30,000 watching every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and it's totally live. We encourage you to tune in. Our campaign of sponsorship proudly supports Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch this.
I'm Victor Diaz-Herman, Chief Executive Officer of Pride Lines, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We'd also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living, here in Fort Lauderdale for making this set and this amazing queer church campus possible. Finally, we thank Queer News Tonight's hotel sponsor, Best Western, off of I-95 in Fort Lauderdale. This is the closest and best choice to the famous Wilton Drive, and our host and guests stay at this LGBTQ ally partner. We encourage you to stay here when visiting South Florida.
Well, finally tonight, Queer News Tonight is proud to support our local LGBTQ businesses here in South Florida. And tonight we are happy to feature FabScout Entertainment and Midland Cares. With one of their first initiatives together, it was often felt that community-based organizations often strayed away from openly standing in alliance with the sex working population here in South Florida. FabScout is America's top name in representing performers in gay adult entertainment. Midland Cares is the top provider of healthcare services for South Florida's gigantic LGBTQ population.
Naturally, Midland Cares partnered with FabScout as one of the main agencies associated with the sex working population and proud to be partners in continuing to assist anyone with healthcare needs. Our first guest joining us here is Howard Andrew. He is the CEO of FabScout Entertainment.
Our second guest is Greg Beltran. He is the Director of Programs and Innovation at Midland Cares, a newly formed nonprofit that focuses on ending health disparities in innovative and cutting-edge ways. They pioneer the nonprofit division of the Midland family, made up of Midland Medical, Midland Pharmacy, and Midland Research.
Well, to tell us more on this unique partnership is Howard Andrew and Greg Beltran. And to both of you, welcome to Queer News Tonight. Howard, let me start with you. We've known each other for a long time. FabScout is one of the names in America for gay adult entertainment performers. You represent many, many, many. Tell us about some of the unique needs in terms of healthcare for people that work in gay adult entertainment.
I think that a lot of the people in the gay world that don't have quote unquote regular jobs that turn to sex work don't have insurance and don't have any way of taking care of themselves medically. And yes, that includes myself. I went to a period without any insurance, and Midland came up with a new program that worked out absolutely amazing for the guys that I work with every day and for myself. And it was a natural partnership working with Midland on getting this accomplished, simply because the guys need it. And Greg, I want to bring you into the conversation. Midland, I'm sure most of certainly our South Florida viewers are familiar with Midland Health Services. But how when you were approached, I'm assuming Howard approached you, or how this came to the attention of Midland in this new not-for-profit launch. How did you get approached with this unique partnership, and how did this develop? It's highly unusual.
So to speak a little bit on that, I actually approached Howard. So I have been working in the field for quite some time, especially working between a lot of nonprofits and seeing a lot of the inconsistencies that often happen broadly in our communities. And to not acknowledge such a big facet that is sex work in our community, especially in South Florida, and to not really provide that infrastructure for those types of individuals that Howard mentioned there, I thought it would be a natural fit for us to pioneer one of our first programs, which was our Midland Cares insurance program, and to start it with Howard and all of his models. So that's pretty much where it took off from there. And since then, the program has expanded astronomically, up even including almost, I would say, a vast majority, probably 1/3 of the people that we have in our program right now would identify as sex workers, but now are given affordable quality healthcare and health insurance that oftentimes they would never meet the criteria because of federal guidelines, a lot of income's not reported, that would not allow them to have that type of quality health care.
I see. And the not-for-profit aspect of Midland Cares, how do you generate the revenue sources to be able to run the not-for-profit?
So as we had mentioned earlier, we have other facets within the Midland family. So Midland Medical is the parent, essentially parent organization that is a for-profit business.
Right.
So with the inception of Midland Cares, we wanted to make sure that we weren't competing against other community-based aid service organizations in the community and doing things pretty much our own way, not being held by contractual obligations that historically may not be the most advantageous for the said population. A lot of times it's the ivory tower effect where they think that, they know best for the said population, but they haven't been working in the grassroots part of those communities in a very long time. So my responsibility at Midland as one of the senior management officials there was to make sure that we found the ability to leverage our for-profit partnership with Upstairs, with Midland Medical, and to help us create and pioneer different types of programs that we find that really make a difference.
Well, Midland Medical, of course, well known here in South Florida. They should be highly congratulated for their commitment to the process of the development of a not-for-profit Midland Cares program. That's really quite amazing. Howard, I want to ask you. We're starting to see the signs of coming out of pandemic. What's the last year been like in gay adult entertainment? Kind of give us a description of what pandemic's been like.
I would say the second week of March is when there was a roadblock thrown in front of the entire industry. And there
you
was
mean in 2020?
In 2020.
Yeah.
The entire adult entertainment industry, straight side, gay side, everything was pretty much shut down. The sex workers, some of them continued because there's such a large market in Just for Fans and companies like that. They continued doing that, and then the industry took about 5 months to come up with about an 18-page guideline put out by the Free Speech Coalition of what to do on set to keep yourself clean, basically. So between air purifiers and disinfecting in showers and wearing masks and things like that, including COVID testing, which is done 1 day prior to the shoot. That's been the biggest change that I can think of.
Did you watch over the course of the last year? Did you see many working in gay adult entertainment contract COVID? Many significant effects, deaths, etc.
I think we had a discussion about this, a few of us in the industry, in the last few days, and no, it really hasn't hit our industry. The problem that we're having more so than COVID, there's other STDs that are hitting hard because people are just not caring as much as they used to.
Right.
And, we have the people that think, oh, I take a pill, I'm okay. And the education
of PrEP and condom use is what you're talking about, correct?
Yeah, I mean, the entire industry has gone condomless. So any way you want to do it, you can call it condomless, you can call it bareback, whatever. And we were a huge opponent of anti-condom shoots for a lot of years, but with the testing that's been implemented and PrEP, we go with it hoping that people understand what they're doing and how they're doing it. And unfortunately, a lot of people seem to feel, oh, I take PrEP and I can whisk my cares and worries away. And that's kind of where Midland comes in, is that they're able to help us in an education field. They're able to help us in getting the guys PrEP at no charge. Which, the partnership that Greg and I have developed, I don't think I could have ever asked for anything better, because I don't really care that they can get PrEP for free, because they can get PrEP for free anywhere through any company. But what Midland is doing is giving them full medical benefits.
I have to say to you, and I want to come back to you, Greg, I have never heard of a partnership like this in terms of Howard being really a legendary name in gay adult entertainment in America, representation of performers. It's a gigantic industry. I've never heard of this kind of partnership. Have you heard of something like this? When you came to Howard to suggest it, from Midland Medical to create Midland Cares, had you ever heard of anything like this in the U.S.?
No, and actually with our partnership with the Midland Cares insurance program that we help essentially subsidize folks' insurance, I pioneered the idea off of it of Ryan White. And so when I came to working with ADAP Premium Plus, which some folks that are familiar with that, people that have HIV if they're in a certain income range, are able to get free health insurance. So what I did was I took all the things that worked from that and applied that to our first big initiative, which was the Midland Cares Insurance Program, and then partnering that with Howard to being the first, I would say, in the United States that's actually doing something like this.
Yeah, I have to say, we're very happy that both of you are with us tonight at Queer News Tonight. But I have to echo, somebody's going to watch this interview with the two of you in Lincoln, Nebraska, and it will be like we're speaking Russian. Or Polish, because they will have no conceptual understanding of the size of this LGBTQ community, the kind of platform that FabScout and gay adult entertainment, it's a gigantic industry here in South Florida, and then this unique partnership in terms of medical saying, wait, it's good for our entire community to have a broad-based approach to the medical needs of people that participate in this. And it's not just the professionals, there are people participating with them. And so it's really a super interesting model that I'm sure people are going to pay attention to. And you should be congratulated in Midland Medical and the creation of Midland Cares, this non-for-profit organization. And as always, we thank you, Greg, for being with us tonight, and always, Howard. It's a very, very interesting program that we're happy to bring attention to. So congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Well, then help us by liking and subscribing, ring the bell for updates, or share this news. We are the only LGBTQ television live video news in the world that is, quote, out of the closet and into the headlines, end quote. We need your support.
I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of anchors Faye, what? And welcome back, Faye. We're glad everything worked out. And Taisha Best, both of them are going to be with me tonight at It's Happening Out. We will see you daily and tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night.